would you, if on a first date the guy asked to split the bill, would you take quarrel with that?
Depends. If he asked to take me to dinner, if he asked me, then I expect the person who asked to pay. So
okay,
yes.
I mean, here, we'll go around the table and
Okay.
I'll address that. What about you?
I wouldn't have a problem with it.
I would be fine with that, and sometimes I would even offer to pay the entire bill myself.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's case by case, but I don't know. I think it's so like circumstantial, because I do kind of agree that like if you're asked to be like wined and dined and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, so you got half. I do think that would be kind of like, But yeah, so I think it just depends on like the conversation, the relationship before, because also if it wasn't like that, like they were all like big gang, I'm going to take you out, then I wouldn't mind splitting at all. So yeah, I think it kind of depends. Yeah.
I actually want to add to my answer, kind of going off of yours. I would be slightly mad if they asked to do like halvesies. Like if we did separate checks, I'd be fine, because I don't drink and normally drinks are expensive. So if we went half on and they were drinking, I'd be like,
Okay. Lauren, what about you?
I've split the bill on dates. I've paid for a lot of dates too. I think I don't like the idea that you should have to have a financial investment just to get to like, if I were single, I don't think it should be dependent on a financial loss potentially for you just to get to know me.
Madison?
I would most definitely love if a man paid for the whole entire thing, but I don't mind at all either.
Okay. So you mentioned that if the guy asked you,
Yeah.
then he should pay,
Yeah.
right? More often than not, who's asking for the first date, the guy or you?
Are you advocating for some type of affirmative action here, Brian?
I'm not asking for affirmative action, but
it just happens to be, just like it happens to be with firefighting, that more men can meet the standard. Men ask women out more. That is true.
Right.
So they're more likely to, because they ask, in my opinion. The person who asks is hosting. When someone says, can I take you out to dinner? I assume you want to take me out to dinner.
Yes, if you word it like that. But if you, for example, you're like, do you want to grab some food? That's a bit more ambiguous.
Or like, are you free for dinner?
Yeah.
Yeah, so for me, it's still that person asking, personally. That's what I think. I think the person that
So
asked
you would
should
take
pay.
an issue with...
I would, and one of the reasons for that is I would assume, because one, if he asked, and two, because still we're in this society where he's expected to pay and he's foregoing that, and he didn't even mention it. And first of all, I've never had that happen. But if it did, I would assume he's just a cheap and stingy person. And me, from the culture I'm from, like, I am fighting to pay for everybody. And it's not just a gender thing. I just went to lunch with a colleague. He's like in his 50s, old colleague, Mormon guy, in his 50s. I paid. Like, he took out his wallet. I said, no, let me pay. I constantly try to pay for my friends. We're always fighting for the bill. So it's not about that, but I'd be afraid that he's one of those people who's going to be like, I'm not even friends with people who are like, can you Venmo me for the Skittles? Because I don't even know like how to be friends with someone like that. I'm like afraid to hang out with them, because if they're running into the gas station and they're like, do you want anything? I'm like, no, because I'm so afraid that they're going to be so perplexed by having to pay for something of mine. So a guy who's automatically showing me that behavior, I don't even split checks with my friends. It's more like, okay, I'll get you, you get me next time. So I would never want to be with, have a friend or a significant other who likes to split checks. It's just not part of me or my culture, and I like that part of my culture. So
Okay, but you do acknowledge that it is a stereotypical gender role to expect a guy to pay for the first date.
It is.
Okay, well, I mean, how do you reconcile that with your rather egalitarian view on other things?
I don't think that it should be. I don't think the stereotype should be in place in the sense of, because he's a man, he should pay, which is why when I just went to lunch with a colleague, and he's a man and he's much older than me, I asked to pay. So I think
that wasn't a romantic
it wasn't
scenario.
a romantic scenario. And I said, if I ask a guy out, I'll pay. And after the first date, like if I want to see you again, and I'm like, after that, they don't have to pay for every date. But usually if you ask me to be there in the first place, then I think you should pay. And if you don't pay, then I'd be like, ooh, he's just like a cheap, stingy person. That's would be my impression of it. And it's like, you asked me to be here and you're not paying. Now,
the guy asking you to be there, you admitted yourself that you don't really ask men to go out on dates.
no.
So I mean, if men are de facto the ones that have to ask women for dates, then
They don't have to ask women. They just have to ask me if you want me to go out, because I barely leave my house. So there's no way I'm asking a random guy to go out on a date. I'll barely go out to see my friends.
Right. So even you, somebody who's not really out and about, you're still expecting a guy to take on the burden of having to initiate.
Yeah. I mean, he has to take the burden to initiate. And the bottom line is just the way things work. It may not be fair. Life is not fair. But far more men want to go out with me than I do with them initially. Now,
That's how it is, though.
That's just
Men
how
are
it is.
initiators.
Yeah. So therefore, if men are initiators, I think they should pay for the first date.
Yeah, but that.
Sorry, I have a question
Yeah.
for you.
Go
So would you be open to, like, if a guy asked you to do something where, like, hey, do you want to go for a walk or a run? Like, would that be an acceptable date idea? Or
Maybe not a walk or run because I always wear heels, but I'm okay with like, oh, there's fireworks going on at the park tonight. Do you want to go do that? Yeah, I don't expect them to take me on some expensive, lavish date. In fact, that would kind of make me uncomfortable because I still have that part of me that like, because I make good money. Like when I'm out at a restaurant, I just order whatever the fuck I want. If I knew someone else was paying for it, I would be like, oh, okay, let me not get this appetizer. Let me not. Like I do have that in my head. And it's actually more uncomfortable. But yeah.
Right. Well, I guess it's just convenient that if your position is, well, whoever asks should pay, it does sort of glance over and overlook the fact that men de facto are the ones who are initiating and who are asking women out on dates.
I think that's just the reality. I don't think that I think women who want to ask men out on dates should, and I don't think there's anything
Yeah,
wrong
but
with that.
overwhelmingly women don't.
Yeah, and that's just the reality of it is what it is. Like men are going to ask women out more, and so because of that, because they're in that role, then yeah, they're going to have.
So
I think they
when
should.
it comes to something that perhaps is negatively impacts men, it is what it is.
I don't think it's how it should be.
Well, no, but you said you do think so because you said that men should
I
pay
don't
for the
think
first
that
date.
men.
You do think it
No,
should be that
I
way.
don't think that men should be asking women out more than women ask men out. I just think that's the reality of
That's
the
wishful
situation.
thinking.
What do you mean? Is it wishful thinking? I'm saying it shouldn't.
You think what?
I'm saying it shouldn't it shouldn't. I'm not saying that I think that it should be the case, but it is the case, and that's just the reality. Just like I said, it's the reality that women carry children. The way the dating market works, if we're talking about reality and this is the truth and the red pill, it is the case that men generally are more likely to be the chasers and the initiators of dates. And unless you want to implement some kind of affirmative action here,
Yes, let's implement.
I don't know
affirmative
what else
action.
to do about that.
Women will be legally obligated to hit on one dude a week
There we
by
go.
law. If you
Yeah.
don't, it's a felony. You get thrown in jail. Sorry, you didn't talk to enough dudes. All right, let me do a couple chats here. We have. Did we do this one?
Yes.
Did we do this? Did we do this one?
No.
Who's Lauren? Oh, sorry. Okay, yeah, my bad. I'm looking at this side of the table. Lauren. Yeah, okay.
Do you want me to?
Oh,
read
yeah,
it?
can you read it?
I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses.
Oh, that's fine. Madison, can you read it?
Lauren, in Digital's arcane depths, your erudite exposition sign, embracing variegated